Hi everybody, and good Thursday evening to you. It's the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks, and some interesting times ahead as we head towards the weekend. We've got some warmth, we've got some wind, we've got a very borderline severe weather threat, which I'll talk about in this video, and of course we have plenty of things to look at in the sky, both this evening and overnight tonight. We'll start with a time-lapse video which started before daybreak this morning. Here's that setting nearly full moon, which will be all important, of course, overnight for tonight. Once the moon set and the sun came up, boy, it was a beautiful morning. It was a chilly start to the day, but wall-to-wall sunshine for a lot of our Thursday. The sun angle, the sun strength this time of the year is roughly equivalent to the end of September, so it really, really makes a difference. Why am I showing you this graphic? Which shows, generally a lack of snow so far this March. We're running about almost 4 inches behind average, almost halfway through the month of March, and we have no snow coming our way anytime real soon. I'm showing you that because it stands in stark contrast to what we were dealing with 32 years ago. This storm back in 1993 was called the Storm of the Century. It was also called the Superstorm. And while this did produce a lot of severe weather and a lot of problems in the south, in the northern tier of states, this was known as a big snow event. This was kind of a landmark storm in the realm of weather prediction, numerical weather prediction. Because the reason why I say that is that this storm in particular was well advertised by the models, not just a few days ahead of time, but a week or so ahead of time. And in 1993, that was pretty good. So the details of this ended up being, kind of very similar to what a lot of modeling was showing 6-7 days into the future. And 32 years ago, that was a real success story for numerical weather prediction. And this was a huge snow producer in central Pennsylvania, Altoona, State College, Williamsport as well. And there was a stripe along the spine of the Appalachians from southern Pennsylvania through the panhandle of Maryland into West Virginia, or 30-plus inches was pretty common. Now, we had double-digit totals pretty commonly in our viewing area. At the airport, it was a little over 14 inches was the official total there, but near the Ohio-Pennsylvania state line, it was pretty common to see anywhere between 10 and almost 20 inches worth of snow in about a 24-hour period with the Storm of the Century back in 1993. There's nothing like that on the weather maps this evening. Looking at the nation as a whole, a few scattered heavy gusty storms in the south. These have been some hail producers in parts of the Tennessee Valley in particular. The storm that's going to cause a lot of problems over the next couple of days coming east is this system, which is near Las Vegas right now. As it comes east, it will be a big problem starting tomorrow and taking us into Saturday in the realm of severe weather. Here's the Day 2 outlook from the Storm Prediction Center showing a level 4 moderate risk. You don't see that very often, especially during the first half of March. But yeah, moderate risk for severe weather Friday into Friday night in places like St. Louis. The Level 1 risk gets as far east as about I-75 in western Ohio. We'll talk more about the Day 3 outlook coming up later in this video because, I've got some thoughts on it. In the meantime, a couple of really good things to look at in the sky, both this evening and overnight. This evening, it's a space station flyby. Now, I told you about a space station flyby last evening. It was a decent one. Tonight's is a lot better. This is higher in the sky. It's in the sky longer. It's brighter. 8:37 p.m. look in the southwest sky. It'll disappear in the northeast sky about 4 to 5 minutes later after reaching a maximum elevation above our heads of 89 degrees. That's almost right overhead. So it'll be high, it'll be bright, and definitely worth checking out with this clear sky overhead this evening. With a mostly clear sky later on tonight, we're looking good for this total lunar eclipse. Again, it's in the wee hours of Friday morning, but it's worth checking out if you don't mind being up at that hour, or if you work the overnight shift or something like that. Maybe you can step outside and check this out. Now, totality will last, a while. The maximum totality will be at about 3 a.m., but this will be worth checking out more and more as you go into the 2 o'clock hour, and all the way through about 4 a.m. It's definitely worth scoping out. The partial eclipse begins at 1:10. You won't really notice a whole lot at the onset, and also when the partial eclipse ends closer to 5 a.m. At that point, there won't be much to look at. But definitely worth checking out with a blood red moon appearing for a little while. Again, between, say, 2 and 4, anytime in that window, it's worth checking out if you don't mind being up in the middle of the night. Otherwise, our Friday is just going to be a fantastic day. Just like today, a few more clouds in the sky, especially as we get into the afternoon on Friday, but compared to the last several days, it'll be a lot warmer. This will be the warmest day of the year so far as we break into the 70s Friday afternoon. Then as we head into the weekend, all right, let's talk about Saturday. The first thing we're probably going to see is a band of decaying convection coming east. There could be some thunder and lightning with this. There can certainly be some gusty winds with this. It probably does not bring a severe weather threat, but these could be locally noisy and perhaps gusty, even though the line may be kind of decaying or dying as it comes east. And the timing on this is probably mid to late morning on Saturday. What happens beyond that? I think the answer is not much through the daylight hours. The modeling has become more and more consistent. I talked about this some last evening and even the evening before, but I'm becoming more and more convinced that the afternoon is just dry on Saturday. In fact, there'll probably be some sunny intervals developing. Now, up above our heads, the wind is going to be howling, and there's going to be wind shear. There's going to be changing of the wind direction with height, but there's just not much of an impetus to get storms going. There's no front coming through. There's no trigger. And so I think the rain chances are awfully low as we get into the afternoon and even early in the evening on Saturday. Now, as we head deeper into the evening, well past sunset, and especially into the overnight, I think it will rain in most of the area, and I do think it will be windy. Now, even though the risk of severe thunderstorms, I think, will be fairly low, the risk of gusty winds will be high, and so you want to secure those loose outdoor items, and that will go for Sunday as well. I think showers will come and go. There could be a thunderstorm and gusty wind. Now, there might even be some strong storms on Sunday east of I-79 in Pennsylvania. The closer you are out towards DuBois and out towards Altoona, State College, Williamsport, I could see where there's some strong storms out there before Sunday afternoon is through. I think the risk of a strong storm in our local TV viewing area is pretty low on Sunday. Now, let's talk about the severe weather outlook for day 3. You're not going to see me strongly disagree with the Storm Prediction Center all that often, but I will do it occasionally. I've been doing this for 24 years. I've got just as much, if not more, experience when it comes to forecasting than many of the forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center. They are world class at the SPC. And so again, it's not often that I have some sort of disagreement, but I do think that their slight risk is overdone on Saturday. This is largely based on all the wind shear that's aloft, so anything that does manage to get going could certainly tap into that wind shear. I just don't think anything is going to get going, or very, very few storms are going to get going late in the afternoon, early in the evening on Saturday. And then as the rain becomes more likely Saturday night, I think at that point the instability is meager enough that while there can be some gusty winds, true severe weather just seems unlikely. So here's my map for Saturday and Saturday night, with severe weather possible in a place like Columbus, more likely towards Cincinnati and especially south of there, down towards the Tennessee Valley. And I just don't see severe weather being a likelihood around here at all. What is likely is a brief cool down, but we keep edging the high temperature forecast up for St. Patrick's Day on Monday. It's above average now. So it's cooler, yes, but 50 is still 3 above the average for the 17th day of March. After that, we go right back into an April or even early May preview for a couple of days. The next cool shot at the end of next week will last a couple of days. It's not severe. I don't think there's anything strongly cooler than the average coming our way until probably that first week of April. Until then, the cool shots will be brief and they won't be all that cold. That's the way it looks at this point. So coming up on Friday evening, we'll have another update on the weekend forecast and much, much more. Thanks for watching this evening. Have a great rest of this Thursday night.